don't take me seriously either. I'm
Ever.
just kidding.
I never
I
take
actually
it.
work
Well, I'm
in
so
information
ignorant of all the
technology.
stuff that's out there that you could tell me anything. It's different. Oh, that's that weird.
Alrighty.
I invented the
I just
internet.
think it's fun.
Yeah.
What, Dan?
You and Al
I
Gore.
invented the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anything.
you and Al Gore.
You know.
I do remember a time without it, and I tell my kids now.
I did
Boys, let me tell you
too.
something. Like when I was growing up, we ain't had no worldwide internets. We didn't have this instant messaging stuff that y'all do.
I
It's called texting, Dad.
I remember dial-up, and my husband trying to
Yeah.
convince and trying to get me on the computer. He's like, you can look up anything. Like you can
Yeah.
look up stuff on
Com-
dinosaurs. You know, it takes
CompuServe.
20 minutes to download a picture. I'm like, why do I want to look up stuff on dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Can I go to the library and look it up? You know?
Yeah, CompuServe, always weird.
Yeah.
Now if I dare to ask Dean a question, she just looks at me and says, Google.
Google.
Yeah. Is that in the dictionary? Is that a verb yet in the dictionary?
It will be.
I'd be
Yeah.
surprised if it's not.
Yeah.
It's gotta be
That's my
coming.
goal in life, is to become a verb.
Yeah.
You know you've arrived when you become a verb.
Ginormous was
Did you see me
recently.
Chris that?
Are you serious?
Ginormous.
Ginormous.
Because my kids came home and they were saying, I'm like, that's not a word. And then like 2 weeks later, they're like, Webster added.
I
Oh,
think it's
Giant.
from Elf. I think
Ginormous.
that's where I first heard it. I
Ginormous.
love that movie. And
What?
it says it in there, and it was the first
What
place
was
I heard Elf.
Oh.
Oh.
oh, that's a
It would be
cute movie.
Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Is Ant one? Can I claim that one? Because I keep, all
Maybe
growing up,
eight.
I actually think it
It is
is.
in the dictionary.
It is in
I
the
would think
dictionary.
so.
At least in the
It
earth.
says it's substandard.
Substandard, yes.
There you go.
I've been looking for justification all my life.
All right. So if you look at this as a continuum, right? One end we have the villain, right? Other end we have the hero. They're kind of polar opposites, right? But it used to be when stories were written about heroes and villains that the hero would be Dudley Do-Right. I mean, all good. Nothing wrong with this person, and the villain would just be this darkest, blackest, just horrible thing, and they were really one-dimensional. They were not good characters, and as we've evolved as writers, there's elements of you ever seen everybody's seen the yin and yang symbol, right? And so in the how's it go? That, even the purest good has a speck of evil in it, and even the darkest evil has a speck of good. That type of thing. Even though that's not quite what it means. But if you want to make your hero more interesting, don't make them all good.
You can't relate.
You can't relate to it.
to the
You want to bring them down in this continuum here and give them some bad qualities that everybody can relate to. And don't make your hero all bad. Give them some good quality. Give them a redeeming quality that actually makes them interesting.
Of course, now a lot of stories have an anti-hero that are way more villainous. Or, well, like, I'm trying to think of, it's not the hero, the protagonist in a lot of film and stories these days
They're anti-hero.
are anti-heroes.
Yeah.
It's not your typical hero.
Right.
It's
Iron
almost
Man,
yes.
right? Robert Downey Jr. He's egotistical.
Mhm.
He's this playboy. He's kind of he thinks he's all that, but
Until this weekend, he proved himself.
Yeah.
But that is an anti-hero.
Yeah, he's really a hero.
Yeah.
He's really a hero.
Or like, I'm thinking like Don Draper in
Oh, Mad Men.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
He's
So over
Or
here,
Dexter, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Dexter.
He's
Dexter,
awesome.
that's the anti-hero.
He's perfect.
Has everybody
Yeah.
seen Dexter?
Yeah.
Dexter?
I've never seen it. I just.
Oh, that is.
Okay, it's about
So cute.
he's
Everybody
the hero
should
of the
see
story, but he's a serial killer.
Yeah.
But his redeeming quality is he only kills people that deserve it. So it's like if somebody
He's got morals.
Yeah. Well.
Well, he's
yeah.
a sociopath, right?
He's
a
doesn't really
sociopath.
have-
he's a sociopath, but I mean he works with the police department, so he knows the criminals that get away because the justice system, lets them get away, and he
Yeah.
goes and makes it right.
Yeah.
So he's a bad guy, but they write it in such a manner that you can identify with him.
But they
It's like
show how.
Grisham's book, The Chamber, right?
I didn't read that one.
I didn't read that.
All
I read
the
of them.
judges. I think-
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that the
All
chamber?
the trial.
Yeah, they get together, all the judges, they meet, and criminals have been let loose for whatever reason. They could not be all agree that this particular criminal should be put to death, and they have somebody go out and do it, but they all vote on it first.
I have to read that one. That sounds interesting.
It's excellent.
But
Heidi, were you about to say something?
No, sorry.
I do have a question. This is just, you threw out the word continuum, you know what I mean? And we're, you know, in our line of business world. But, so here's the deal. So I get that, right? I'll basically say, okay, I want this villain to be about right here, you know, on the bad scale and up here on the good scale for the hero. But how much creative liberty should you take as kind of, once you think you know one of these guys, right, to slide up or down that scale some to kind of, you know, I mean, is there...
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Okay, you'll come...
To
Okay.
develop
Hold that
your-
thought.
I'll
Because
make
that's
sure-
the fun stuff, is when you flip it on the reader.
I know, I'm
sometimes
thinking
and
it'd be
they think
fun,
who you
but-
thought was the villain is
But it can really mess
Yeah.
up me as a reader and
So-
getting mad at the author and like, come on.
Yeah.
All right, remember, Chris said couldn't...
I can see him reading a book going, come on now.
If I wrote this book, this is the way it would.
Remember you talked about the mentors and allies and
Test.
all that tests, right? Earlier you asked
Oh,
the
yeah,
question,
yeah,
so we'll come
right.
back to that.
Same thing.
And then also about the hero sliding up
Okay,
and down here,
yeah.
okay? So,
I'll wait, I'll come back.
all right. So let's say over here we have allies. And over here we have what's called a threshold guardian. What do you think a threshold guardian is?
Like a gatekeeper?
Yes.
Perfect.
Perfect way to say it. So, threshold guardian really, if we're trying to cross that threshold as a hero, there's somebody that's blocking the way, that's trying to keep us from crossing that threshold. It's conflict, right? Conflict is what drives a story and what makes it interesting. If you're writing a nonfiction article about, you know, this organization's attempt to establish itself and raise money to become a creative center in this community, you talk about all the things that stood in their way and all the conflicts and obstacles. That's what makes it interesting, right?
Or I teach a networking class at the Women's Resource Center for women who haven't been home for a long time, now they're looking to go back to work. And I talk about how you want to, at all costs, try to work around HR. HR is the threshold guardian that keeps you from getting to
Yes.
the people that you actually want to make connections with and who can interview you, you know, for the jobs that go. But it's their job to shove people away, you know, and guard the VPs and you know, and all the interviewing people. You don't want to go through HR. You want to make connections and go around HR to get to other people. So you could be writing an article about that and still fit these archetypes in.
Well, then over here we have mentor. A mentor, for the most part, is kind of straight up with us. I mean, they're wise and they give us good advice, right? Obi-Wan Kenobi, Yoda, Molly Brown in Titanic, and
Dumbledore and Harry Potter.
okay, if you say so.
I do. Who's the mentor in Shrek?
Who's what?
In Shrek, who's the mentor?
Oh.
Is it Donkey?
I was just gonna say, is it Donkey?
Okay, well, let me,
That's a good
come
example.
back
yeah.
to this. Okay, trickster. All right. So a trickster is kind of opposite of mentor. Mentor is wise, dispensing good advice. Trickster, they're just crazy, right? They're funny. It's the court jester. It's somebody, you know, that's providing comic relief. So if you, let's go to Star Wars
Is that
for
the
just a
Mad
second.
Hatter then? Like in
Yes.
Yes.
Mad Hatter is a
Mad
trickster
Hatter,
in
yeah.
Alice in Wonderland.
Reading class.
But Star Wars, now, C-3PO is funny. I mean, the things he says are funny, but he's not being a trickster. He's just a neurotic robot, right?
Yeah.
But R2-D2 is constantly doing little things. He's mischievous. He's the trickster, okay? All right, so Shrek, Donkey, Eddie Murphy character, is the trickster. All right. But let's answer the legitimate question of who's the mentor in Shrek. I got to walk through the movie in my
I
head.
don't know well enough to do it.
Shrek.
If it helps at all, just because, for example, just because R2-D2 is a trickster, he's also an ally.
That's what we're
At
getting ready
one
to get
point,
to.
he's a threshold guardian when he
Yes.
has the Princess Leia tapes type thing. So one character
Can
can
be a lot
be
of
more
things.
than
That's
one
right.
role. Just like the hero can sometimes be the villain, be
Exactly.
the trickster,
You're getting ahead.
be the mentor.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
Fiona is the mentor.
Maybe. So, but think about this. This is exactly where we're going with this.
Yeah.
I think it's
In any good story, very few of the main characters are static. Almost everybody learns something, okay? So the key is, at some point you may have this threshold guardian, and they block your way, but then you pass some tests with them, the hero passes a test with them, and wins them over, and eventually turns them into an ally. Right? So guess what? An ally is somebody who helps you. Threshold guardian is somebody that keeps you from getting what you want. But if you can win this person over, they may actually flip, and they become an ally. All right? So, going back to somebody said, is Donkey the actual mentor? I'm going to say yes. Okay? He's a trickster, but a lot of the things he says, they're common sense. They make sense, and somebody listening to him can take those as wise words, even though he's being funny when he says it. So he actually is both a trickster and a mentor. All right, so you see how powerful this is? So we don't want one-dimensional characters within our books. We want dynamic, because how many of us are one-dimensional in here? Right? I'm a Gemini. I know you're a Gemini. That means you have dual personalities. Are you a Gemini? All right. That's for Geminis. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? You got it. Yeah. But guess what? A lot of us have these two sides to us.
You know what I was thinking is Silence of the Lambs?
Oh, yeah.
Hannibal Lecter,
Oh.
villain.
Oh yeah.
Villain.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
But
Hero.
Threshold Guardian, he holds the knowledge that
Yeah.
she needs
Mhm.
to get in there. Once she breaks through to him, then he becomes somewhat of an ally to her.
And he's a mentor.
And he's a mentor.
But he's also
Yeah.
a mentor. And
Wow.
if you, I don't know if you want to go so far as hero in there, because but to me it's one of those, he's a full character because he's creepy and he's gross and he's icky, but you kind of get him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like you
That's
can
a
see,
wonderful
he's
example.
not just
That
an
is a really
icky
good-
person.
Yeah.
You're like you get that he's still this
He's
brilliant
also
mind
like
you can
the trickster
appreciate.
in it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he's a
Everything.
trickster playing the game.
Well,
That's a wonderful
I'm thinking
example of
of
how
like-
to make one character kind of go through all
Look
this.
how he
Yeah.
goes through all that.
How
So let's...
Wait,
No,
we've
no,
got
go
a
ahead.
question. Go ahead.
No, I was thinking, so like Kevin Spacey's character in Usual Suspects.
Oh,
Yep.
that's a great one.
So
Ah.
is that similar?
No, wait.
Because
That's
he's hero,
great.
villain,
That's-
trick-
Right here. You
All
just...
suspects?
All right, Harold. So the other one is Herald. What's a herald do? Hark the herald
Announces-
angels. It
announces
announces something. So a herald, a lot of time, guess who in most stories gives the call to adventure? It's a herald character. Meaning they come and say, something's not right with your life. You need to change it, right? Or the kingdom is about to burn. If you don't come back, then
Would R2D2 be the herald as well?
yes,
with the Princess
R2D2
Leia?
with the hologram, he's the herald. Okay? So opposite of herald is a shapeshifter. Guess who the shapeshifter is in Usual Suspects, David?
Well, I mean, the obvious would be Kevin Spacey's character.
Kaiser's.
Fill the
Kaiser
rest of us-
Soze.
fill the rest of us
Soze.
in.
Yeah.
See
Kaiser
what we need.
Soze. Yeah, we're not going to tell you
Great
more than that. But you see,
Okay.
I mean, a herald is very to the point. You've got to do this. I mean, they're giving a true, for the most part, a true message. Shapeshifter, kind of don't know where they stand or who they are. All right, Harry Potter. I'm going to pull my only Harry Potter knowledge out. Anybody not seen Harry Potter?
I've seen them all over the place, but
I'm just trying to think how to say this without giving something away.
I've seen the first one,
Not everybody in Harry Potter is...
and that's the worst one I've heard.
Have you seen the first one, Thora?
I know what you're saying.
Okay.
That-
Will you ever see them?
I'm not gonna see him.
Look,
Okay. Well, then that's fine. Okay. Have you said you hadn't seen
I'm,
it?
I'm not gonna see
Oh,
him.
you're killing
All right.
me.
Okay. So
spoil away.
all right. So
I love
spoiler.
it.
So in
Yeah.
it, there is a person. There's a person, or the person you think is a villain turns out not to be the villain,
Oh, yeah.
and the person that you think is just, this kind of sideline character ends up Snape.
Snape is the one.
But the one that undoes the thing, he's got the other person right here. All right. So he's a shapeshifter, right?
Chris, can you give some more attributes or definition around shapeshifter? I haven't seen any of these movies, so I'm one more definitive.
All right, the Wizard and Wizard of Oz is a shapeshifter, meaning he is not who you think he is. I'm Oz,
He's
the
not the
great and
all-powerful
powerful.
Yeah.
At the end, you realize
Guy.
this is a little guy, a little weak guy behind the curtain.
That was a good description, isn't it? Just not who you think they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the word. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the real word. Shape shifting.
Okay, it could be
shifting.
it could be figurative,
shape.
Yeah,
it's figurative
figurative.
and literal. Some movies, it's
Shape, yes.
the
Yeah.
vampire switches from being a vampire to a wolf to a bat to smoke.
Did anybody watch Heroes when it was out? That
Yeah.
TV
Yeah,
show.
that was a good one.
I loved it when it started, but then it got on my nerves
Yeah,
because
weird.
they did too much shape shifting. It was like the guy you thought
Oh,
was the evil
yeah.
guy all along.
Yeah.
So the dad was suddenly the good guy, but they did that with every single character over and over. Like
Yeah.
week to week, you're like, he's evil, he's